What's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Chris Featherstone here yet again for yet another episode of Unscripted. Listen, it is Tuesday night. You know what that means. I have some of the biggest, the baddest, the best wrestlers of today and yesteryear, and tonight is no different. Listen, I've not only has this person been on my show probably I don't even know now 6 or 7 times. He's up there as one of the most frequent people on my shows, whether it's Unscripted. He's the first ever 3-time guest here on Unscripted, and it's pretty cool for that. So congratulations on that. And he's been on Pancakes and Power Slams 3 or 4 times. I love talking to this guy. This guy just has a wealth of information to share, just a wealth of knowledge in his storied career in professional wrestling, and he's became a friend. And it's awesome to. In the 10 plus years I've been a journalist, there's a group of people that I can really call friends and just really call good partners, and just a text away. And this one was planned. this was planned as opposed to the other one was a hot tag. This one we're training together, man, and we're ready to tag team together, man. So and he still to this day. He doesn't want to admit it, but even at the ripe young age of 74, I believe he still has a mean drop kick. Ladies and gentlemen, he is former AWA Tag Team Champion, Greg Gagne. How are you tonight, my friend?
Well, my good friend, thanks for having me back on. I haven't hit 74 yet. I haven't even hit 73. 72. No, 72. You're right, 73. I'll be 74 in November.
70.
Yeah.
So you'll be almost
feel like 100.
Almost 74.
Thanks for having me on again. Yeah, we spent a lot of time together, and I really appreciate the time you take and the job you do with professional wrestling. It's outstanding, Chris. And anytime you need me, I know when you get stuck, that's when you call me. That's why I've been on so much.
Yes, indeed. You are the king of the hot tag.
I'm the tag in.
Yes, you are. You are the king of the hot tag, man, and I appreciate it every single time. See if you could put your laptop down just a little bit. We want to see your handsome mug just a little bit more. There we go. Yeah. There we
really?
Go.
Oh great. My God. I look 73. Holy Christ.
No.
That's why I had it up the other way.
Look great, man. You've got some big things going on with Powertown and making action figures. You are still just making waves in the pro wrestling business. Let the listeners know before Before we were talking about more of a pilot earlier this year in the springtime. Now we're full fledged, and we got an action figure released, and we're doing some really big things over at Powertown. So let the listeners know what you're doing.
Well, like I said, Steve Rosenthal was with Remco Toys, and he had first. His son was a big wrestling fan, and Steve worked in New Jersey for Remco Toys, and he was kind of their creator. And his son said, "Dad, why don't we do wrestling?" So he went up to Vince McMahon, talked to Vince, actually gave him some upfront money, about 50 grand is what he said. And Vince wanted him to change the contract a little bit, back and forth about 3 or 4 times. Started to make the dolls, and he came back to his office, and Vince threw a magazine at him and said, "You know these people?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "Well, I just signed a deal with them." So he was out quite a bit of money, and he came to my father Vern in the AWA, and we did 8 years with him of Remco Toys, the first action figures of professional wrestling on the market, and he retired.
Wow.
And almost a little over a year ago, he called me up. He said, "Hey, you want to get back in the action figure business?" I said, "Well, not really, but what do you have in mind?" And he said, "Well, I said, here's the only way we'd go back into it. Let's tell the story of professional wrestling when it first came on TV. Today's public, the new generation, they all think Vince McMahon created this whole universe of professional wrestling. It went on the Dumont Network, I'm sorry, in 1950 out of Chicago. My father was, he had started his career in 1949 in Minneapolis. He was an NCAA champion, University of Minnesota, Big Ten champion, high school champion here, and wrestled on the 48 Olympic team. He came back, he had one match in Minneapolis. He won by disqualification. They said he was too small, so they sent us to Oklahoma, where his second week there, he won the light heavyweight or the junior championship, they called the NWA Junior Championship, his second week there. So then he gets a call from Fred Kohler in 1950. "Vern, we want you to come to Chicago. We're going on network TV." So Vern flies to Chicago, gets in the locker room. There's about 30 people there, 30 wrestlers. And Fred Kohler says, "Vern, here's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to lower you from the ring, dressed up as a Martian." And he said, "Hold it. The hell you are. I'm not going in the ring as a Martian. I got my tights and boots. I'll go down to the ring right now. You got 30 guys here. I'll take them on one at a time, two at a time, or three at a time. And if I don't beat them all, I'll quit." Well, nobody got in the ring with him. So he wrestled with his tights and his wrestling boots. And he was the first major athlete besides Babe Ruth that he made over 100 grand in 1950.
Wow.
That's how strong that network TV was. Wow. So I said to Steve, "Well, let's go back and let's dig up the families and the personnels that started wrestling back then." And I was looking at my list who went back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even beyond that with some. And we've got 42 families on board, including, Lou Thez, Don Leo Jonathan, Yukon Eric, Gorgeous George, Angelo Paffo, the Crusher, the Bruiser. These are all guys that started in the 50s, Johnny Valentine. And when I was going through the list, because we got a couple deals going and we wanted to break it down into the decades, and some of the guys, I thought, geez, these guys, they must have started in the 60s or 70s. Harley Race started in the 50s. Nick Bockwinkel, Ray Stevens at 15 years old. We got Johnny Weaver, Penny Banner. We've got the ladies. We've got just an array of talent that's unbelievable. And then you go into the 60s. It took a little dip, but you still got great athletes in there. Wahoo McDaniels, and Andre the Giant came on board then. And oh God, I got a list here. The Rougeau brothers. It just goes on and on. So we're trying to. The biggest thing was our goal is to give the people from that era, the families, an opportunity, and some of them are hurting really bad, to now have the opportunity to make some something off of what their fathers or
Nice.
their husbands helped create.
Yeah.
And that's why we got involved. And I brought Magnum TA in on as a partner, and he's been absolutely fantastic. And between him and I, along with Steve Rosenthal and his crew, I think we put together some great stuff. And it won't only be action figures. We've got an array. And we've got almost 200 contracts right now.
Wow.
We've got men, women, and the little people of professional wrestling.
Nice. That's
Something
awesome.
Nobody's ever done before.
Fantastic. Congratulations on that endeavor. That seems very busy. That seems like a lot of work.
It's been, I tell you, I was spending on the phone anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day on the phone for probably 11 months. And then and I brought TA on, and he's helped bring on some more talent. We got some of the great talent, Rock and Roll Express, the Koloff crew, the Rougeau, the entire 7 generations of Rougeaus. It just goes on, and we're going to tell the stories within these action figures and the other merchandise we have of some of the feuds that went on at those times. And we've got historians who will write the whole story. They'll get the story with that, a picture and the action figure, and some other great things we've got coming up. And we should be announcing the kickoff here in the next couple weeks. And the first 6 figures are finished. Right now, you can go on Instagram and pull up Powertown and see the 6 figures: Luthez, Vern Gagne, Bruiser Brody, Stan Hansen, Magnum TA, and Kerry Von Erich.
Nice.
It's not too bad a crew, is it?
Not at all. That's awesome, man. We were actually talking about, you and I off air, we were actually talking about Stan Hansen and just how I loved his lariat back in the day.
I'm glad you did. You never got hit with it.
Yeah, I wasn't a victim of his lariats, and he's just you got a story or two about
that story. Yeah,
that lariat of steel there.
Jim Rubinzell and I, we won the AWA World Tag Team Championships, and we had a real tough run. We had like 17 straight days, and we were in Salt Lake City, and then we had to go to Japan for a 2-week tournament. And we had a cage match in Salt Lake City, and Blackwell had thrown me over the top rope, and I hooked my foot, and my knee burned like a son of a gun. And I woke up in the morning, and it was all swollen up, and the flight attendants from Salt Lake gave me ice, and then from there to Tokyo, or from LA to Tokyo, iced it, get to Tokyo, fly to Sapporo. We get picked up by a cab. We've been in the plane for 19 hours. They drive us. We have to get dressed in the cab. We go in and wrestle. We win a match in about 15 minutes. The next night, we wrestled Tenaru and Saruda, 55 minutes. The next night, we had Giant Bubba and Dory Funk Sr., or Dory Funk Jr., 45 minutes. We won that match. And then we get Stan Hansen and King Kong Brody. What a night off. we get in the ring, and Jim and I are kind of talking, and we hear the crowd go, well, here they come, and all of a sudden, look out. Jim gets hit with a cowbell. I get hit with a chain. Out of the ring we go. They run us through the crowd of people, hit us with a fire extinguisher. We both get cut before we even get the match going. There's no rules over there. We're fighting back to the ring, and I see this one little Japanese guy get up, and his chair fell over, and I grabbed it, and I threw it at Hansen, and he couldn't see very good, like a Frisbee, and hit him right on the bridge of the nose. Oh, it exploded, and he hit that ground, bam. Well, we get up in the ring now, and we wrestle him for about 37 minutes. And finally, Jim had tagged me, and somehow Brody had Jim, and Jim reached back and tagged me. I came off the top rope with an elbow and knocked Brody to his knees. And when I did, I see Brunzell get fired out over the top rope by Hansen. And as I'm looking, Brody from his knees bear hugs me and traps my arms. And I look up, and here comes Hansen with the lariat.
There we
That was the
go.
last thing I remember.
KO'd after that one for
Oh
sure.
my God. So yeah, we ended up meeting him in the finals then in the Tokyo Dome. And from that first match, we were black and blue from the wrist down to our elbow, reaching up and hitting them.
Mm-hmm.
It was a war.
Wow.
They were really a sensational team, and dynamic and explosive.
Yeah.
And very, very physical.
Very tough. Yeah, absolutely.
I ended up getting back from Japan. I had my knee looked at, and I had tore the cartilage, wrestled with it. They cut it open. It just fell out in 5 pieces.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And
So,
back then there wasn't, I mean, it's still a little bit like that now, but it's the fear of losing your spot was real big back then.
oh
So
man,
to
yep,
play, wrestling hurt was, par for the course, back
that
in
was
the
it,
70s,
boy.
the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh man, but
All
Brody
right.
and Hansen, boy, that was a fearsome twosome, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Ready to get dive into these questions, my man.
Oh, you got questions? All right.
All right. Here we go. Guillermo's asking, what's the favorite moment of your father's career?
Of my father's career,
Mm-hmm.
my favorite moment. Oh man, I guess a moment I remember the most. It wasn't so much a match he had. It was he took me to the matches in the old Minneapolis arena auditorium, and I was about 6 or 7 years old. And one of the matches that night was the Kamelkoff brothers against Mitsu Arakawa and Kenji Shibuya, and it was a bloodbath. And he took me back afterwards. We're kind of walking down the hallway, and there's a locker room here, and there's Mitsu Arakawa and Kenji Shibuya with the doctor getting sewed up. The next one is the Kamelkoff brothers, another doctor there sewing them up. And I looked up at my dad and I said, "Dad, I know one thing for sure. I never want to be a wrestler." He told that story to a lot of people, especially after I got in.
Yeah.
But one of his most memorable matches, man, he had so many. Probably his retirement match with Nick Bockwinkel was probably, the most emotional for him, myself, the entire family.
Yeah.
And it was at 50 some years old, he still had it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Aaron is asking, what's the favorite moment of your career?
Of my career, whew, I had quite a few. I guess the first time we won the AWA Tag Team Championships in Winnipeg, Canada, from Bobby Duncombe and Blackjack Lenz, and Heenan was their manager.
Mm-hmm.
The most exciting match I've ever been involved with, though, was in Denver, Colorado. I played football at Wyoming, and we got a lot of extra publicity, and Denver was just a hot, hot town for us. And Jim and I were champions, and Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson had been away for a while, and they called it a cold match. They put a championship match in there with Pat came back with Ray, with Bobby Heenan in their corner. And the old Denver auditorium, when you walked out, when we came out, that building would just vibrate, and the adrenaline would just go through you. I mean, you could jump higher. And for me playing football up there, I was in Laramie, where it was 7,500 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd usually start the match because I could set a fast pace, and the guys with the altitude would, get gassed pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
But we had this match with Patterson and Stevens, and all they had a top wrist lock on us, and we would fight out of it, do something, and they would just pull our hair or pull our tights and have us back in the hold. Between the two of us, tagging in and out, there never a punch, never a kick thrown. And in 8 minutes, we had a full-fledged riot. People trying to get in and help us. And that was kind of a moment in our career that we both really remember. How back, what's different today, what it was then, is they got into your personality.
Mm-hmm.
And they either liked you or they disliked you, and they lived and died with you in that ring.
Yep.
And if you were good enough to control that control that crowd. I mean, that was an unbelievable feeling. Unbelievable.
Nice. Burrito's asking, he's saying, greetings from Puerto Rico. What was it like when you faced Ernie Ladd, the cat?
I never faced Ernie Ladd.
Interesting. Who were your
My
top
dad
wrestlers?
may have.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, because I thought he was when you were in AWA. I think he was in the WWE, wasn't he?
I don't know. I think he wrestled in Chicago a couple times,
Oh, okay.
but against Bruiser and Crusher and maybe my dad probably wrestled Ernie.
Gotcha.
But I never had the opportunity, and thank God.
Talking about another tough cookie.
Yeah.
Who are the top 5 wrestlers of all time from the time you wrestled? Your top 5
From the time I wrestled.
From the time you wrestled, yeah.
I would say Ray Stevens, Nick Bockwinkel, Jerry Blackwell, Billy Robinson. And I didn't get the opportunity to wrestle some of the guys, who were wrestling in North Carolina. I would have to say I would have loved to have the opportunity to wrestle with or against Magnum TA, Tully Blanchard, the Koloffs. Never had that opportunity. So I have to constantly, the guys in the AWA and Bobby Heenan. I mean, he was probably one of the, greatest manager of all time, and probably in the top 5 as what he did in the ring.
Nice. Rito's also saying, what's the best memory of being in tag champs with Jim Brunzell in Puerto Rico? What 3 wrestlers from this generation would have loved to work with as a wrestler?
I think I would have liked to have had the opportunity to wrestle against the Rock and Roll Express, the Kamelkoffs.
The High Flyers against the Rock and Roll Express?
Yep.
Nice.
And in today's, when I see him out there, of course, Adrian Adonis, Adrian was one of the great performers of all times too. I got to put him up there. Jesse and him, for some reason, promoters wanted that match all over the place, and we got tired of wrestling them. Adrian carried the match all the time. God, there's so many out there that, I didn't get the opportunity to. We wrestled the Freebirds. That was a great experience with them. Somebody that we.
Did you ever wrestle the Road Warriors?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Wasn't one of our favorite matches, but
really, they were tough to work with.
We wrestled them. Yeah. We had a wrestle in a cage match up in Winnipeg, and they'd hit that ring and just go balls out. And what our strategy was, we'd get close to the ropes and just kind of try to block everything and just let them hammer away. And after 10 minutes, honest to God, they grab on you. They couldn't hold on to you. They were blowing, their muscles blew up so bad.
They gassed out.
And I took that big Joe down animal and put that figure 4 on, or the Indian Deathlock on him. And his legs were so big. I mean, I didn't have to put very much pressure on it. I could snap his leg, probably break mine at the same time too. Because big. And he sat up and he says, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you." And I slapped him as hard as I could. I said, "You're not going to get up."
You got to get up first.
You took a beating with those.
Yeah.
Kurt Hennig was another great performer that I wrestled as a tag team with him and against him. And I guess I'd like to have been able to wrestle Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. He was with us, but I never got to wrestle him.
I was going to ask you that when they were the Midnight Rockers, him and Jannetty, they were in the AWA, but you didn't get a chance to compete.
No, in fact, Shawn had sent me up a tape, and Jannetty had sent me one from Kansas City. And I said, this would be a pretty good young team.
It was Central States at that time, right?
Pardon me?
Was it Central States?
No, what, Kansas City? Yeah, I think it was. And
The
Shawn had
promotions.
come out of San Antonio,
Gotcha. Yeah.
and we brought them together and they created the Midnight or the Midnight Rockers, and
Mhm.
they lived it too.
Mhm.
They were hard to handle, but
Even that early in their early 20s,
even
they were
oh
that good?
yeah.
Really?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Or some what's some Shawn Michaels stories that you can recall, when he was in the AWA?
Oh God, well, can't tell most of them.
Well, whatever you can get in a
Well,
PG
okay,
show.
they had a cage match in Las Vegas at the Showboat.
Mhm.
It was ESPN. Buddy Rose and Doug Summers were the champions at the time, and you know, they were the veterans. And before the match started, they went up to the lady that ran the Showboat that had to deal with us, and they said they weren't going to wrestle that night unless they got paid up front, and they wanted X amount of dollars.
Mm.
So I heard about it, and I went to Shawn. I said, "What is wrong with you two?" Well, this is what the Rose and Summers told us to do. I said, "Well, here's the deal. You don't have to go in the ring." Yeah, but that's the main event. I said, "I don't care. I'll put in another tag team match there. This isn't a big deal." But you don't do that. You don't go hold people up.
Yeah. Mhm.
That is ridiculous. They ended up going in the match, and they had a heck of a match. And then I found out later that the lady did pay him,
Mm.
and I was mad. But
Oh, wow.
anyhow, they were, everything worked out for Shawn. I mean, he found his place at the WWE, and he's one of the great performers of all time, without a
Mhm.
doubt.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess I'd like to have wrestled Ric Flair too. Rick and I
Right.
started together.
Mhm.
One of our first matches we had in Peoria, Illinois, and of course, the veterans were watching the match because we were the rookies. I mean, this is only maybe our second or third match,
Mhm.
and we go out there, and the match, I don't know, we're 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 minutes into the match, and I body slammed Rick. And when I did, the ring broke, and we went right
Mm.
down. And I covered Rick down there. And the referee was sideways trying to count him down. And we actually wrestled 20 minutes with a broken ring like that.
Wow.
And when we got in, actually everybody in the locker room pulled us aside and said that was phenomenal how you
Mm.
guys finished that thing. Nobody'd ever do that again.
How was it Flair's attitude, earlier in his career?
Rick?
Mhm.
Oh, he had a great attitude. I mean, this is what he always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Um, he struggled in camp a few times and wanted to quit because we had him convinced that he had to dive out this second floor of this window in the barn into the manure down below. And that if you didn't do that, you take a big backdrop down there, you weren't going to make it. And
Mhm.
he was scared. So he didn't show up for practice one day. And Vern said, "Where's Flair?" And I said, "He quit." So he drove over and knocked on the door, and his wife Leslie answered the door and said, "Where's Rick?" "Vern, he quit. Tell him to come out here." "What's wrong with you?" "I quit." "You're not quitting." "I'm quitting, Vern. I can't do it." Vern open handed him and knocked him on his butt.
Mm.
"Get up, get in the car. We're going out to the camp." Rick did that 3 times. Thank
Wow.
God he never told Vern why he wanted to quit, or
Yeah.
we'd got our butts just really chewed out.
Yes, indeed. All right, we got a few
Okay.
minutes. Let's do like a 3-minute lightning round here.
All right.
Let's see. I always gotta give Elvis some love. Best advice that your legendary father gave you, and what is your favorite memory with him?
The best advice, just be who you are. Don't try to be anybody you're not. And never and always try to have the best match on the card.
Nice.
And we did that. We watched every match ahead of us. And I know you're in the lightning round here, but remind me, I got one match I want to talk about
Okay. All right.
after.
Rick, best memories you have with Bobby Heenan.
Best memories?
Mhm.
He was a dandy. We were wrestling in Peoria. They stuck us in there with Nick and Ray.
Mhm.
This is Jim and I had just got together, and they'd draw about 1,500 to 2,000 people in this gym down in Peoria. So we get down there, and the place is sold out. They got 4,000 people, and they're turning them away. And this was kind of our first big shot. And Bobby Heenan got involved, and of course the people went bananas. And somehow I was behind him, and a fan threw a chair at Heenan, and he ducked, and just as I turned, it hit me on the bridge of my nose and busted my nose.
Oh man.
And I know I went the next day and I had it repaired, and we had matches the next 2 weeks. And every other day I got my nose, I'd get it broke, I'd go get it fixed, get it broke again. And he did it twice to me.
Wow.
He would, as soon as he get in the ring, he would get over and by the corner, and I'd go after him, and he'd throw his head back and hit me right in the nose. Boop, over it would go.
Yeah. Very nice.
That's why it's so bent and big now.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's a battle scar, man.
Yeah.
Jamie's hey, what's up, Jamie? My question is, did you ever have a chance to tag with your father?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We wrestled against Nick Bockwinkel and Mr. Saito. I guess that was, I don't like to talk about myself. I really don't. But we had that match, and my dad, my whole career growing up playing sports, I had 3 compliments from him. My senior year, my last football game, I completed 13 out of 15 passes, ran for over 100 yards. And he came up and told me, you know what, greatest game I've ever seen. And then that night wrestling, we had that match, and we came out, and he said, you're better than I ever was. That's what he said to me. Wow. He said, I'm really proud of you. That was a phenomenal match we had in there, and you were in there most of the time.
Very nice.
Yeah. And then the third one. Do you want the third one, or should we move on?
Go for it.
We wrestled Tito Santana and Rick Martel, Jim and I, in San Francisco in the Cow Palace, in a big building. And we were the champions. They went out first, and as they go out, the people are they're booing them and going, boring, boring. Then we came out and we get the same thing. And we wrestled 18 minutes. We kept getting the boring, boring. And in 18 minutes, we had the people standing. And we wrestled another 20. We went 43 minutes that night and tore the place apart in a clean match. And when we got back to the locker room, Vern came up to us, Bockwinkel, Ray Stevens, Jerry Blackwell, Baron Von Raschke, everybody in the locker room said it was the greatest match they'd ever seen, the way we ended up controlling the crowd. And that was the other compliment.
Yes, that's awesome. All right. Let's see here. Rito's stating the facts. He said you teamed up with Pat O'Connor to take on the team of Baron Von Raschke and Ernie Ladd in a 1976 Central States event.
Me? With Pat O'Connor?
Yeah.
Against, I don't never remember that one. 1976.
76. Central States Wrestling.
Maybe it was some other Greg Gagne. I don't remember teaming up with Pat.
The one and only, man.
If I did, but I've been hit with a lot of chairs and a lot of lariats from Hansen.
Yes, those Hansen lariats.
And the Mad Dog. Holy Christ almighty.
Man. All right, let the listeners know one more time about the Powertown, my man. Leslie says that you still look good and you have aged gracefully.
Well, thank you very much, Leslie. I appreciate that. The body doesn't feel that way. I've had 5 back surgeries. I don't move around too good, but thank you for the compliment.
Rito said it was the first outside appearance from your dad's promotion. He's laying out the facts, man.
What was the way?
The first outside appearance from your dad's promotion.
Oh, well, we went down to Atlanta. They sent Jim and I down to Atlanta, and they sent us down there to have a match with Bob Orton and Dick Slater. They were the champions. And Jim Barnett was the promoter.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good friend of my father's, and Jim and I were pretty hot. They wanted us to bring us down there. So the first night we're down there, we're in Columbus, Georgia, and the place is packed, and we're on the second match. We wrestled Rip Hawk and Dr. Jerry Graham, and they're near the end of their career. And we wrestled for about 22 minutes, and we had the people just rocking and rolling and standing. And their booker at that time was a guy named Gary Hart.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't like that we kind of stole the show that night. So for the next 2 weeks, we wrestled Jerry Briscoe and Bob Backlund every night in clean matches. And we went in there, and after we got paid, we said to Jim, I said, Jim, this is ridiculous. I mean, you brought us down here to wrestle Orton and Slater. We're not going anywhere. Backlund and Briscoe's not doing anybody any good. And we're missing Denver and Chicago and Milwaukee, and we get paid more in one night there than we get here in the whole week. So we left, and then they sent us to cut a deal with Sam Muchnick. They wanted our TV on in St. Louis, along with what they were doing from the Chase. So they sent Jim and I down there, and we had an unbelievable reception. We wrestled Duncombe and Lanza down there, built up to it, and that was it was exciting. It was really exciting.
Nice. Before we go, real quick, you want me to remind you about the match, the third match?
Oh, that was the one I just told you, Santana and Martel in San Francisco.
Nice.
That was the third compliment.
Gotcha. All right, let's listen to one more time about Powertown.
Oh, Powertown! We're so excited about this, Chris, and my partner Terry Allen and Steve Rosenthal. We've all done. We work together as a team. We put together really an outstanding group of talented wrestlers, ladies, men, referees. We've got even what we call the men who built the champions. They used to be called, they called them the jobbers. We don't look at them that way. We've got 22 of them on them, and we're going to do their action figures. We've got announcers, Marty O'Neill, Gene Okerlund, Gordon Soley. We're working on a couple more here. Nice. We're recognizing the people that really helped construct this whole industry.
Trailblazers.
Yeah. The Trailblazers is right.
Indeed.
We haven't left out anybody.
Nice, man. Well, best wishes to you.
The guys that have contracts with the WWE, but we run into a couple of them. In fact, we had DiBiase on the first run, and we had to pull him off. But he had told us he was free and clear, but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah. So
I think we might have lost Dallas Page this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
Is he under contract with the WWE?
Yeah, some kind of he thought he was free and clear of them, but they're putting a stink about it. So we backed off a little bit here.
Oh man, that's unfortunate.
We got some of the greatest lady wrestlers of all time on there. The ladies that helped build this thing. So
very nice.
It's exciting. Referees. We even got referees on there.
Yeah.
They deserve the recognition. They were on the road away from their families, and we're gonna make sure we take care of them.
Good call. I agree with that. Give them some love. Greg, it's been a pleasure, my man. It's always a pleasure to spend time to talk to you about wrestling.
Well, we wanted to talk more about Powertown tonight, but we get into the wrestling, and I love it. But honestly, just watch it in the social media in the next 2 weeks. There's gonna be some big, huge announcements, and one of them I can announce right now. High Spots. They're going to do all their distribution for us. Got a great contract with them, so we're ready to roll.
That's major.
Don't miss it. Get your action figures. You'll be able to get them soon.
IG at Powertown, or what's the?
It'll be Powertown, where wrestling lives on. Okay. Our website will be finished in the next couple days, and it's up. And then pre-orders will start very soon, and hopefully we can get them out by Christmas. Probably going to be more like the first in January.
Gotcha.
But pre-orders will be available, and you probably get a deal if you get them up front.
And be
Hey,
sure
Chris,
to
I just want to
stay.
thank you for having me on
Oh, it's
again.
always a pleasure, man.
Man, you're the best.
Thank you, Greg. It's a pleasure, man. It's an honor that coming from you. And be sure to stay tuned for, of course, this Unscripted every Tuesday. We may have some more representatives from Powertown, some action figure people
Oh, yeah,
come to life here. So stay
yeah,
tuned.
you know what? You tell me who you want. I know Magnum TA, he's ready.
Nice,
Already talked to
nice.
him, so we
Yeah,
can
well,
have him, and I'll get you Stan Hansen and Barb
yeah,
Goodish,
very
Brody's wife,
nice. I
Charlie
love it.
Charlie Fez,
I love it. I love it.
and we'll get you Steve Rosenthal.
Very nice. Very
He
nice.
talks more than I do.
Does he? Cool, man. Well, it's been a pleasure, Greg. Thanks for having
Thanks, Chris.
thanks for coming on tonight, man. You have a great night, man. It's
And all
always
your good fans out there, thanks for supporting professional wrestling.
yes, indeed.
And
Have a good night,
Chris.
my man.
Take care. Bye-bye.